Insa, what comes to your mind when I say Ferrari?
Red,
Indian cricket,
boring,
butter chicken,
Pandara Road,
Spanish wines.
Tempranillo.
Bingo, the local hero, the knight in red armor. It's his birthday on the 12th, so let's talk about it and celebrate it.
Cool. So let's start from the top. And the French, of course, tried to claim their stake at it by claiming it to be a Burgundian grape, but that didn't work out. For sure, it's a Spanish grape and it possibly comes from Rioja. And from here, it went to Portugal, and then the Spanish took it to Mexico and Argentina as well.
Its name comes from temprano, which means early, indicating its ripening nature. It demands specific climate. For the longest time, only the locals could understand it. Probably that's the reason why it dominates the fine wine scene in Spain. Almost 90% of the world's Tempranillo planting grows in Spain itself.
But not just Spain, it also adds a certain oomph to port wines. And now it's being touted as the next big international varietal, thanks to some really commendable reds from Australia, Italy, California, South Africa, and of course, Argentina.
All right, the world is running mad for red wines, and more regions are looking for alternatives to the usuals like the Cabernet Sauvignon, Shiraz, and Merlot. And that's precisely where Tempranillo fits in, like it always belonged there.
So that's a good one. So what do you like to find in your red wines?
Well, I like my red wines to be reliable, yet different, have a little bit of lush, texture, good, easy, identifiable fruits, not too tough on tannins, pleasing acidity, basically something that is effortless to enjoy.
Right, and Tempranillo can serve you all of that. It grows easily in warm climates. It produces anything from the light and young wines like the Joven and the Crianzas to the muscular, age-worthy ones, the Reservas and the Gran Reservas.
And no matter where you go, it will always taste like itself.
Please explain what you mean by that.
Seductive. And that's how I see Tempranillo, juicy and seductive.
But his journey to capture the world map has been dreadfully slow. And why so? Well, for one, it has as many as 40 different names and 550 clones. Sensibel, Tinta de Toro, Tinto Fino, Tinta del País, Aragonés, Ul de Liebre. You get the point, right? And not only is it confusing now, but back in the day, people thought that these were all different grapes and didn't know they were exactly the same grape they were talking about. And add to this the problem that the Spanish, just like the French, tried to make wines by not putting the name of the grape on the label, made things pretty tough.
And then also the obsession of the New World to grow and master French varietals in their lands. Amidst all of this, Tempranillo sort of got ignored.
And even though there are traces of this varietal being grown everywhere in Spain for almost 2,200 years, and Bacchus, the Lord himself, personally consumed it, its true glory to the varietal only comes as recent as 1980s.
That's really recent for a varietal that has been there for such a long time in the history.
That is true indeed. And heads have turned towards Spanish reds now with stunning and award-winning champions like Dominio de Pingus, Vega Sicilia, Emilio Moro, the historic wines like Muga, Roda, Tondonia, and the architectural icon Marqués de Riscal.
And outside of Spain, Tempranillo plantings have doubled almost everywhere between California all the way to Australia and tripled in Portugal. Actually, Australia has really taken its shining towards the varietal and sort of secretly agreed to make it amongst its heroes.
And what about India?
Oh well, Tempranillo and its shades are only growing. First, it was grown by Charosa vineyards with a really impressive reserve Tempranillo. Then growers joined the party with their shed. And now what we learned is that Sula and York are definitely toying with it. And I'm quite sure they're not the only ones. Secretly, everybody is playing with the brand.
Enough discussing Tempranillo. Let's taste some. So what are we tasting, Gagan?
Well, we're tasting, an Indian one, vocal for local as always. So this is Grover's Shen. This is a wine that has been touted as one of the good wines from Grover's for sure. A minimum of 15 months in French oak. And this is not just pure Tempranillo. I think India loves spice, and there's a little bit of Shiraz in this as well.
So I have the same wine here with me, just a slightly older vintage. Let's try it together. Cheers.
Well, your glass looks like a Bacchus glass.
It's a very historic glass, that's for sure. Yeah.
Right. So on the aroma, from the color itself, it's dark. It's but it's not dull. It's very vibrant, even though this is 5 years old. The aromas, they just jump out of the glass and they're exuberant. I'm looking at sweet red fruits, a little bit of dark fruit, emerging tertiary characters of leather and tobacco as well. What do you get in your wine?
I think the oak comes from, the tannins come from both sides. You can find those juicy, fleshy fruit tannins, and then you also have some of the oak tannins here. So I think it's a good balance. It's a big wine, but not a massive wine. It's not daunting. That's what Grover's, how they made it. But yeah. I see your point of how Tempranillo still remains Tempranillo in the blend. So that's a good one. Yeah. It's pretty juicy.
It's juicy. As I said, it is a little seductive with its, nice fruity bit. A little bit of spice comes in, a little bit of sweet oak comes in, but the tannins, they're just so soft. I think the Shiraz has been added to, accentuate the acidity in the wine. But overall, the combination works, the wine works. This is about 1900 rupees in India. I think it's a good wine to carry and even gift.
As a parting question to you, Gagan, is Tempranillo 2,200 something years old, or is it born in 1980 and only 40 years old?
Well, I came after the 1980s, so I'm just going to stick with the young one. If in case you want to go back 2,200 years, all on to you.
It's happy birthday Tempranillo, I think. And Gagan, what an apt toast you raised with an Indian wine.
Cheers to that.